My name's David Jenkins. I'm in the Department of Nutritional Sciences in the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Toronto, and I'm Director of the Risk Factor Modification Centre at St Michael's Hospital. One of the questions that we're asked, and we have to have some response to, is how do I lower my serum cholesterol? And people are usually asking, how do I do that with diet before one puts them on medications? You may want to know that yourself, and in fact, so may your family members. So I've got a number of conflicts of interest because I've been working over the years with the food industry, trying to get them to produce plant foods that lower serum cholesterol and hopefully have a positive effect on blood glucose levels. The story is not a new one. It's quite an old one. The turn of this century, or by the turn of this century, the Food and Drug Administration in the United States had declared that 4 foods or 4 food groups, basically soy foods as legume foods, viscous types of sticky fibers, oats, barley, psyllium, nuts, and also plant sterols, which one finds in leafy vegetables and oils, all reduced serum cholesterol quite significantly, and there was general agreement. In Canada, certainly the viscous fibers and the plant sterols have been recognized. We still have to recognize the other foods. So if one takes these foods, and if one assumes that one could ascribe a 5% reduction in serum cholesterol for all these foods based on the literature, and perhaps have a 10% reduction for a generally good diet that is low in saturated fat and dietary cholesterol, one should be able to reduce serum cholesterol by 30%. And that, in fact, is equivalent to the first-generation statins, which we use currently for controlling serum cholesterol. So we should be able to get a really good effect. Well, we tried this sort of diet. We tried putting this diet together. We used various foods, including nuts, including viscous fiber sources, vegetable proteins, in sort of amounts that you could eat during the day, and put them together into one diet. And we fed this diet and we compared it in groups of hyperlipidemic participants with what we would call the standard therapeutic diet, and also the standard therapeutic diet with a first-generation statin, lovastatin, at 20 milligrams. And what we saw was what we'd in fact predicted. The therapeutic diet lowered serum cholesterol by about 10%, and the dietary portfolio, as we call the diet, lowered the serum LDL cholesterol by about 30%. Not too dissimilar from a statin, which was just a little bit more, but not much. I want to point out that these diets had all the food provided, so no one had to do their shopping, and you didn't have to rely on people making their own decisions. So we were very encouraged by this diet, and even more encouraged because another risk factor for heart disease, C-reactive protein, the inflammatory biomarker, was also equally reduced on the dietary portfolio compared to the statin. So that's something we know statins do, but we didn't know cholesterol-lowering diets did, and they do if they're effective. What was the next thing? Well, the next thing is to try a multicenter trial across Canada using Laval University here in Toronto and Winnipeg and Vancouver with Benoit Lamarche, Peter Jones, and Yuri Froelich, respectively. And they led centres across Canada, and we put together a much larger study of 345 participants. This study relied on people doing their own shopping, which is one big drawback, and then preparing and eating the food themselves. So it was as you would do it in normal life. And what we saw is that the control diet, what we call a DASH type diet, had the small reduction in serum cholesterol in these people who were already on good diets. And whether we applied the dietary portfolio intensively with frequent visits or just with one visit in the middle, we still got the same sort of 13 to 14 or 15% reduction in serum cholesterol. The reason for that is that people complied with the diet round about 50%, so we only got half the expected result, but still that's good. What we found was even more interesting was that if we looked at the two extremes, we looked at Vancouver as the sort of west coast, and we looked at Winnipeg as the prairie province, country, prairie geography. We noticed that there was a big difference. If you were in Vancouver, you got almost a 20% reduction when people advised you on the diet, versus an approximately 10% in Winnipeg. My daughters reminded me that people live very different lives in Vancouver and on the prairies. And so they said, why not look at Happy Cow, which tells you how many vegetarian restaurants and health food stores there are. And that was quite eye-opening. We found almost 20 per 100,000 vegetarian restaurants and health food stores in Vancouver, and only 4 in Winnipeg. And that related to the compliance. The compliance was higher in Winnipeg, in Vancouver than it was in Winnipeg. So we felt that there was a definite lesson here, and that was that if foods are available and if people feel like eating them, you're more likely to get compliance. So that, I think, is tremendously important. And we were lucky because our publications were taken up by dietary guidelines across the world. Here are our own Canadian Cardiovascular Society guidelines, published in 2013, also reflecting the fact that a dietary portfolio containing the viscous fibers, the nuts, the plant sterols, and the soy proteins was a good diet to start people off on to lower serum cholesterol. Earlier on, the United States National Cholesterol Education Program, so-called ATP3, Adult Treatment Panel 3, also mentioned the dietary portfolio. And there's a very nice website that Heart UK brought out featuring the dietary portfolio and how to apply it. And also the European Cardiovascular Society also used the dietary portfolio as one of their cholesterol lowering approaches. So we feel that, in short, there are good reasons for using plant foods. That basically plant foods, if one takes them in combination, although their changes are small individually, can make a big change when you put them together. And we feel that diet, therefore, is an important first step in lowering serum cholesterol. And for many people, it may reduce either the drug dosage they later have to take, or perhaps allow them to manage their serum cholesterol with diet alone. Thank you.